stop to reload.
That's exactly what they did.
You ask?
You gonna fit right in.
There's something inside. Hope.
A shocking murder rocks a small Maine town in 1947. Authorities arrest Andy Dufresne, a well-known local banker. Even as he proclaims his innocence, the court delivers 2 life sentences. His punishment leads him to Shawshank Prison, a prison with a reputation for destroying men. Meanwhile, Red, a convicted murderer, appears before the parole board after 20 years in Shawshank. Despite trying to show he has changed, his request is denied. Disappointed, Red returns to prison life, smuggling contraband for other inmates in exchange for money. When new inmates arrive, Red and his friends bet on who will break first. Red bets on Andy, who seems calm but hides despair. Andy does not crack. Instead, an overweight inmate breaks down and cries through his first night. The noise draws Captain Hadley, a brutal guard who enjoys violence. He beats the man for hours. The next morning, inmates learn the man died in the infirmary because no doctor was on duty. Andy is shaken and asks the man's name, but others tell him to stay quiet. A month later, Andy approaches Red after learning he can smuggle items. He asks for a small rock hammer, saying it is for carving rocks. Red suspects an escape plan, but Andy laughs it off. Red agrees, but warns him about a group of rapists called the Sisters, led by Boggs. Boggs becomes obsessed with Andy. During his first 2 years, Andy works in a laundry and fights off repeated attacks. Despite this, Andy finds comfort in his friendship with Red. They talk and share hopes. When a roofing job opens up, Red arranges for Andy and their friends to be assigned. While working, Andy overhears Hadley complaining about paying taxes on an inheritance. Using his banking knowledge, Andy shows Hadley how to legally protect the money by giving it to his wife as a gift. Andy offers to do the paperwork in exchange for beers for the inmates. Hadley agrees after seeing Andy's skill. Andy gains respect across the prison. He grows more confident and spends his time reading. He later asks Red to smuggle in a poster of Rita Hayworth. Red finds it odd but agrees. Andy is attacked again by the Sisters. This time, he stands his ground and threatens Boggs. They beat him badly anyway. Andy spends a month in the infirmary. Boggs is sent to solitary confinement. After his release, guards beat him so severely that he is left disabled and transferred to a prison hospital. The Sisters leave Andy alone after that. When Andy returns, Red and the others give him carving stones and the Rita Hayworth poster. Soon after, Warden Samuel Norton learns about Andy and orders a cell inspection. Norton finds Andy reading the Bible. Nothing illegal turns up. Norton tells him salvation lies within the Bible and assigns him to work as assistant librarian to Brooks Hatlin. In return, Andy helps guards with tax returns and financial advice. He proposes expanding the prison library to support inmate education. On Norton's suggestion, Andy writes weekly letters to the Maine State Senate asking for funds. Andy's reputation spreads. Guards from other prisons seek his help during visits. Andy eventually becomes Norton's personal financial advisor. Red says Brooks has become institutionalized. He explains that the walls first make you angry, then familiar, and eventually something you depend on. Brooks is released despite his fears. Outside, he feels lost among tall buildings and crowds. He has no family, no home, and no purpose. Prison routine is the only life he understands. He finds work at a supermarket, but cannot keep up with the pace. The outside world feels harsh and unfamiliar. His despair grows. Unable to cope, Brooks takes his own life and leaves behind the words, "Brooks was here," carved into a wooden beam. 6 years later, Andy's persistence pays off. The prison receives $200 to expand the library, along with used books and records. Andy finds a recording of Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro. Andy takes a risk. While working in the warden's office, he locks a guard in the restroom and plays the record over the loudspeakers. Opera music fills the prison. The inmates fall silent and listen. Even the guards pause and smile. Andy is punished with 2 weeks in solitary confinement. He remains firm in his belief that hope is vital. Shawshank does not break him. Later, Red appears before the parole board again after 30 years in prison. His request is denied once more. To lift his spirits, Andy gives him a harmonica to mark 30 years in prison. In return, Red gives him a large Marilyn Monroe poster for his 10th year. After the Mozart incident, the state grants Andy $500 to expand the library. Andy uses the limited funds wisely. He partners with book clubs and charities. He builds the best prison library in Maine and names it after the late Brooks. With better facilities, Andy tutors inmates who want to earn their high school equivalency diplomas so they can find decent jobs after release. At the same time, the warden enriches himself by exploiting Andy's banking skills. Before long, Norton profits by forcing inmates to work as cheap labor on public projects. He wins contracts by underbidding competitors. To hide Norton's illegal money, Andy opens accounts at several banks under the identity of a fictional man named Randall Stevens, who exists only on paper. Andy creates this identity using his knowledge of the system and mail order forms. Although Randall Stevens is not real, he has a birth certificate, a social security number, and a driver's license. The plan works perfectly. Any investigation would lead to a man who does not exist. The story jumps to 1965. A young man named Tommy is sentenced to 2 years at Shawshank for burglary. He is cheerful and charismatic and has been in and out of prison since age 13. He quickly befriends Andy and Red. The three grow close. Tommy asks Andy to help him earn his diploma, and Andy agrees. After months of studying, Tommy takes the exam. Frustrated with his performance, he throws his answer sheet away. Andy retrieves it and sends it to the education board. Later, Red scolds Tommy and reminds him of Andy's effort. Tommy realizes his mistake and apologizes. Tommy then reveals a shocking story. In another prison, he shared a cell with a man who claimed he killed a golfer and his lover. The man bragged about framing an innocent banker. Andy realizes the banker was him. Andy asked the warden for a retrial with Tommy as a witness. Fearing the loss of his profits, the corrupt warden refuses and sends Andy to solitary confinement for 1 month. During this time, Tommy receives his diploma. Days later, Hadley executes Tommy to silence him. The warden later tells Andy that Tommy died trying to escape. Andy does not believe him and refuses to launder money anymore. Norton threatens him and warns that the library will be shut down if Andy stops working. After his release, Andy confides in Red about his late wife and his guilt over their broken marriage. He shares his dream of escaping to Zihuatanejo, a small beach town in Mexico. He invites Red to join him someday. Andy also tells Red about something hidden near a stone wall in Buxton, Maine. Andy resumes his work for Norton, which worries Red. The fear grows when Andy asks another inmate for a 6-foot rope. Red suspects the worst. The next morning, Andy is missing during roll call. Guards discover he escaped through a tunnel he dug with a rock hammer hidden behind a poster. A flashback shows Andy hiding debris in his pockets and dumping it in the yard. The night before, he packed Norton's documents and clothes into a plastic bag and tied it to himself. Disguised as Randall Stevens, Andy visits Norton's banks and withdraws all the money. He mails evidence of corruption to a national newspaper. Police and media soon flood Shawshank. Hadley is arrested, along with other corrupt officials. The evidence exposes Norton's entire operation. Before arrest, Norton takes his own life. Justice follows. Andy becomes a symbol of hope and perseverance. Later, Red receives a postcard from Fort Hancock, Texas. Andy writes that he has reached Zihuatanejo. Red feels joy and loss at the same time. He wonders if Andy is happy. Red recalls Andy's words about birds not meant to be caged. He knows Andy was right. In 1967, Red faces parole again. He speaks honestly, shows regret, and refuses to perform for the board. His parole is approved. Red lives in Brooks's old room and works at the same supermarket. At times, he considers returning to prison but remembers his promise to Andy. Red goes to Buxton and finds a stone wall. Inside a box, he finds cash and a letter inviting him to Zihuatanejo. Andy writes that he needs someone who can get things. Before leaving, Red carves a message that reads, "Brooks was here, so was Red." He crosses the border at Fort Hancock, feeling free. The film ends with Andy and Red reunited on Pacific Beach, starting a new life together. And with that, the story ends here.